everyone. Welcome to another episode of Life Chat with Viv and Vil. Vilma and I have been very busy these days, and we have been recruiting the very best of people who are ones that impact communities and are world changers. And today, our guest is none other than Rosie Tooley, who will introduce herself and share with us the great work that she's doing within the community in Wilmington, Delaware, and how she has pioneered a program that will able to help others grow and mature and be successful for the future. So we welcome you, Rosie, and we're so excited to have you on our program today. And we just want you to introduce yourself to our audience and tell us
Mhm.
all about your program. I won't say the name because it's pretty long, guys. So you will say it and introduce yourself. Rosie, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vivian. I am so honored to be here. It's always a blessing to have an opportunity to share what God is doing and how through us, He is meeting the needs of so many people. The name of my program is called Lazarus Educational Services Incorporated. We call it LESI for short. And what our mission is to offer entrepreneurial training and micro lending to veterans and those in reentry who have verifiable entrepreneurial skills. And we are located in Wilmington, right at the corner of 10th and Bennett, right in an area where help is needed the most. And it was chosen by design because it is where help is needed the most. And we see those people as being God's people, God's creative, powerful people who have gifts and callings and who are ready for a change in life. Entrepreneurship is certainly not for everybody, but it's for a lot of people. According to the statistics I've read over the years, um, about I think about over 600 people per year are released from prison and come to Wilmington, which is where we're located. And according to the research that I did with a company, another nonprofit, Wilmington Hope, probably about 26% of those will be entrepreneurs. Most people fit more comfortably into employment. With those numbers, there are certainly more than enough people that we will be able to reach to help them experience their desire to start their own business. And that's why we're there. We're there right at that corner to help people who are ready for a change to have that opportunity. We're going to train them in business skills and solid business skills. And when they complete our training, they will receive a micro loan to help them either start or support the business that they're already running. And that's been the missing piece for so many. There are other training programs, but none are like Leslie because we train people in the field or career that they're interested in. And when they are prepared, they receive a microloan to help them start their business. And
Mm-hmm.
so we're really excited about what God is doing. And the whole idea is a God idea.
Wonderful, wonderful. You have told us, Dr. Tooley, and I know she's very modest, but I'm going to be using your title. I'm going to say Dr. Tooley. So, and I really appreciate your humbleness, but your humility. If if I don't think humbleness is a word, so your humility. I don't want the Dr. Tooley to correct me, but my question for you: where
Mm-hmm.
did this inspiration of helping others, returnee veterans, where did it come from? I
It
know you
came,
have a God idea, but let me tell me a little bit more about this inspiration and how you got it from a thought in your head given to you by God to now a reality?
That's a very good question. This all began with a dream. Before I retired as an educator from the school district of Philadelphia, I was a middle school teacher. I had moved here to Delaware, and one night I, I had a dream where there was a man who had borrowed money from loan sharks and he couldn't pay it back. And the long story short is that they killed him. And I saw it. They stabbed him in the chest, and I could hear everything. I could see everything as though I was standing there, but I wasn't directly involved in it, but I saw it. And I could hear the blood gurgling in his lungs as he was calling out to God when he was dying. That stunned me so much. I mean, I was shocked. And so when I awoke from the dream, I told the Lord that I would do whatever he wanted me to do. Just don't show me that anymore, because that was really something. And so what happened is that I began to look for ways to help. And I became aware of the plight and the obstacles that were placed in front of those who are in reentry. And I do want to say this before I go on. I have learned that the dream that I had is a reality, that happens. It's not rare that happens, that people are injured or killed because they borrow money and they can't pay it back. That's not something that I was aware of at all, except on TV. But now here it is, directly impacting me. And so through association and collaboration with other people who have a passion to help those in need, especially those in reentry, the ideas took frame and shape. I'm a member or a board member of Partners in Reentry Coalition of Delaware. And sometimes when we're just being consistent and doing the regular everyday things like attending meetings or writing, doing whatever it is that our assignment is, God downloads ideas for you. And it was at a meeting where someone asked, does anyone have a lawnmower? I know some guys in reentry that can do landscaping, but they don't have the tools that they need. Well, I had a lawnmower. I said, well, I'll loan it to him. And then she said, no, don't, because I was going to give it to him. She said, no, don't do that. Loan it to them. Because one thing that they need, especially the men need, is a sense of responsibility. That's not really the word that I'm looking for, but they need to be held accountable. Because when a person is able to fulfill their responsibility, it builds their self-esteem. And so what we're going to be doing is something that will impact them not only financially, but because will hold them accountable, and they will be in the driver's seat for so much of what happens during the program. As they come through, they should be stronger, far stronger, both internally, emotionally, and financially than they were when they started the program. Our program is trauma informed because our whole facility rather is trauma informed, because we realize that most of our clients will have been impacted by trauma either as a child or as an adult, especially the two groups that we have targeted. Though many of those in reentry suffered trauma as children, and those who are in the military, if they did not suffer trauma as a child, many of them have suffered trauma as an adult and while in service. And that may be some of the reasons why some of the people that we will serve have had such a difficult time finding a job and holding on to it, or don't want anybody to tell them what to do, that kind of thing, attitude.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm not sure, Vivian, if you know the term returnee, but I did not know what that term is. So just in case our audience is wondering what it means, do you want to explain a little bit what a returnee is? Because I love the term, but I had no idea what it meant until I asked and somebody informed me.
I thank you for that. I will make sure that I remember for the future to explain terms as I introduce them. Returning citizen is a milder way of saying an ex-felon. They have been away imprisoned, and now they are returning to society. So rather than label them as an ex-felon or convict, which has such a negative connotation, now they're known as either returning citizens, or there's another word that you may hear, justice involved.
Oh.
I mean, that really cleans it up. He was just as involved, or she was just as involved. You don't even hear the clink of a prison at all in that, but that's precisely what is being referred to. Those who were once involved in the prison system and now they're not, or correctional system. Sure.
Thank you. That's very helpful, because I learned something new, another new phrase, justice involved.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
One question I had was asking you about your goal for these for your clientele, but I think you, in your introduction about the the business, or the organization rather, you mentioned what you are wanting to do with them, bringing them, helping them to reestablish themselves in society, basically. But how are you financing this program?
That's another good question. Part of it is self-financed. I'm an entrepreneur myself. I had a dual career. I was an educator, I still am, and I love that. And over time, God got me into the real estate business as well, owning property and property management. That's been very good too. So I did both at the same time. I've forgotten the question, but anyway.
How are you financed?
Oh, finance. Okay. All right. So, so what I'm doing is partially is financing it myself at this point, but I'm also writing for grants, and because Leslie is a nonprofit, which makes it eligible for grants and of all sorts that pertain to the career goals that we're offering them. And so we have already been selected for the first round of a grant with an organization that is very well known here in the state of Delaware. And we're waiting to see how, if we move forward with them. But the reason that I mentioned that I'm also an entrepreneur is that I have never before looked to grants or any other kind of funding to anything beyond my own ability, my own ability to fund anything. I believe that the wisest thing for any nonprofit to do is to have a for-profit arm that feeds the funds into the program, so that if for any reason the funding doesn't come through, grants or donations don't meet your expectations, you can still function. And that's how Leslie is organized. I own the building where the program will be offered. And it's a two-story program. And on the first floor is the Lessee Training Center. And on the second floor, the offices for rental, either shared office space or private office space. We're having everything state of the art. We have Wi-Fi, of course, and key card entry so that people who are coming to our program and need to work on their business other than regular office hours will be able to do so in security and in privacy. Other things that we're offering are mailbox services, storage space. We have our building is handicap accessible and different things like that. We're offering business services and at Lessee's side as well. And so we're expecting that we will have total success because we are meeting a need, a real need that people all over need, but especially the people in this area. And the building is being renovated, well renovated. It's well designed. I think it probably could fit in any location and still be representative. Because it's not like I'm having something in my basement. No, this is a commercially designed property.
Mm.
And so we're excited.
So you basically is funding this program, but do you have any affiliates or do you have any? Because you're going to need. You say you have a training center, so I see that you're going to need computers. You're going to need different things like that. Are you in partnership with any other program, any other services in Delaware? Because this is a good program that you have that can help people who are returning to society, help them to get their feet in the door or feet in business or to be successful in business.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have anyone that's collaborating with you? Because I could see many companies would want to get their feet in the door in helping in a situation like this.
Yes, I do. The people I have stakeholders. I took it off my desk, but the lender that loaned the money to renovate the property has placed my project in like their annual report, took pictures and all of that. Now, of course, that's not money per se, but it's like advertisement, and that counts. The other There's another bank, another entity which loaned money for to us, is not only a stakeholder in that they love our program, but they've made commercials for us that they put on their website. And the bank president is the person who supports Lessee by doing the 3-year pro forma, our financial pro forma for grants that we apply for. And they've already told me that if I need any help with having teachers, that anything that has to do with either marketing or finances, to count them in. And that's been the general response that I've received, that is that the vision is very clear. And it can be seen how what we're doing is going to really help people and give them a chance to rebuild their lives. We're looking at generations here. That's what I see. I see people standing up where they've been bowed down and now able to take care of themselves and take care of their children, because about 80% of people in reentry have children. Most of them have children.
Mhm.
And when they take care of their children, that impacts generations to come. That's what we're after. Not just to help somebody get their business started, which is good, but we want to impact them on a wider range. Um, we're offering something that I hadn't heard of being offered here, but I know it's offered across the seas in other nations. We're offering social interest, which means this, that with that microloan, they will have an opportunity to make a choice. They can either pay the interest on the loan, and it's going to be something really reasonable because the people that we're working with are not wealthy. And so the rates that they're going to get are very favorable. But they'll have a choice to either pay the interest or to find someone or some entity that they can volunteer their services to, entity that cannot pay them back.
Mhm.
And so it's like they're paying it forward. And we're offering that because we already understand that when a person who's seen themselves as being less than is able to give something of themselves that benefits another person, it builds their self-esteem.
Mhm.
And it also connects them to the community,
Mhm.
and they impact other people's lives for good, which again makes them feel better as well. They see their value. And
Mhm.
so we're going to offer that to them.
Mhm.
And this is
I,
not, is this also coming from your pocket also, the microloans, or is it a company that is helping with giving them an interest rate and so forth?
at this point, that will be mine. Between the basics at this point, because I'm still writing grants and all that, and there are organizations who definitely would be interested in partnering with me for that. But I'm at the process now. I'm actually writing the curriculum to make sure it's trauma informed and that it has the elements that I desire it to have. And so my focus at this point has been, well, I've been balancing it. Sometimes my focus is writing grants, then it's writing the curriculum. And then I think I'm getting to the place where, well, Monday through Wednesday, let's work on let's work on curriculum. Thursday and Friday, let's work on grants, to get a balance there. But
Mhm.
there's a lot of responsibility. But I'll tell you this, I'm in it to win. Whatever it takes, that's what we're going to do. I already know that as long as we are operational for at least 1 year, the SBA will come in and work with us to grant loans. But I don't really like their funding schedule. They're kind of high. Did I say that? Okay. Anyway, so I want
What's
our people
SBA?
always to have the best rates. And we have to I'll have to look into their plan to see if it works with our plan.
Well,
Because we have
what's SBA?
the Small Business Association.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I will remember to watch those acronyms too.
Yes, yes. Um, because being in the field that I am in, certain acronyms, when I hear them, I think of something else, and I know that's not what you're talking about.
It could be
you
the
know.
Small Bowel Association, right?
We have a SGA, which is small gestational age. So sometimes when you say, I just need clarification, because if I'm asking, I know somebody else probably will be asking.
Right.
And if it comes out that I am a little dumb in asking it, that's okay too. I don't feel anyway
There's no
because
way
I
that could be
know the
true, Dr.
information.
Davis. There's no way that could be true.
No,
Eh,
no, but I don't feel anyway, even if people think so.
mm-hmm,
So here's my other question. You
mm-hmm.
mentioned that the program is and the curriculum is going to be trauma informed, and
Yes.
I think I understand what you are saying. So, but can you explain a little bit more on the how you're going to make your curriculum and the program trauma informed, and the people who are going to be helping you that are going to participate in it, how that you are going to have them, really teach or speak or interact on a level that is sensitive to the trauma that these individuals may have encountered.
I absolutely will. I should be taking notes so I get all the parts of your question. I'm going to start with the last part first. I just became trauma informed myself. I realized that there was a need for it. So I attended Wilmington University during the last year and early this year. And I'm now certified in trauma informed care. I've learned from textbooks and different examples how powerful that adverse childhood events are. Things like divorce or going hungry
Mm-hmm.
or being abused in some kind of way, or there are different questions that are asked to determine the level of trauma that a person has endured as a child, and
Mm-hmm.
that gives them a score. And the higher the score is, the more trauma impact that individual is considered to be. And those numbers have real impact. As a matter of fact, if I remember the statistics correctly, the scale goes from a number 1 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time, if a person has at least 4 adverse childhood events in their life, then their score is 4. People with a score of 4 find themselves getting ill faster. They suffer more chronic diseases like heart disease or
Absolutely.
diabetes and all those sorts of things. And the higher the score, the more difficult or the more difficult their life and their life experiences are.
Mm-hmm.
And a person with higher scores sometimes even lose up to 20 years of life because trauma affects not only the emotions, but it affects the brain. It affects the way that people are able to think and rationalize things.
Mm-hmm.
And it is really, it's really something to be aware of and be concerned of and try to help people with, because so many people in society, even though those who haven't been imprisoned and haven't to been to the military, are impacted by trauma also. But this is how it works with us. One of the things that we know is that oftentimes people have been traumatized, have been put in positions where people did things to them that they did not choose for themselves. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't have control in the situation.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't able to make a decision. They weren't able to make something stop or get something started.
Mm-hmm.
They were a victim. So at Leslie, their choice uh, is really the guiding force. One of the things that we will do initially is to make sure that anyone who is accepted in our program has a verifiable um, entrepreneurial skill. And I'm often asked, well, how will you know that? Well, if you have a skill, it's show and tell time. My background is education. You can show me your skill. You can demonstrate your skill. If you are, for example, a barber, then there should be people who you can verifiably show me that allow you to cut their hair. If nobody allows you to cut their hair, then that's questionable. And so if if they can demonstrate that they have a verifiable entrepreneurial skill, then they're eligible for the program. We don't care or we're not concerned about what their background is in terms of what kind of crime they may have committed or when it happened or how long they were imprisoned or any of that kind of stuff. Because whoever will, let him come. That's our platform. And anyone who fits our criteria is going to be welcomed into our program. We're targeting those in reentry and veterans because that group has the direst need that we can see.
And what,
And
I'm sorry, finish what you were saying.
okay, so so it starts with making sure that they have a chance to make a decision. The decision about whether they're entering the program or not is decided by whether or not they can prove that they have a skill. If they don't, I'll look them, I am firm, and I will let them know or indicate to them so they can come to the conclusion on their own. I'll help them if they need it, to let them know that this is not for you because we can't verify your skill. But here we have another program because I collaborate with others. Here's another program that you might be interested, that might work for you better. And so that's how we do that. Other things that people who've been traumatized need is to understand what the rules are. And they need consistency in the following of the rules because many people have trust issues. And if one is honest and consistent, then you build a pattern. And with that pattern of consistency, begins to be developed. And that's something that we're going to do as well. And with the coursework itself, I intend to set clear guidelines on what is a successfully completed project and what is not. We're going to write it, we're going to speak it, and we're going to have a picture of it. And when it's time for them to turn in their, I don't call it homework, I call it business development assignment, but it's homework. And so when they bring it in, I check everything and we compare what they're turning in according to the rubric. And I'll let them grade their work as long as they're doing it honestly. Because there's no one who's going to be passed along from one class or session to another if they have not successfully completed the prior one. Because entrepreneurship is hard all by itself, and no one wants mediocre or poor quality work. It will not sell. So those are some of the things we're doing. But the key thing is that they are in the decision seat. They get to decide how much, what their work looks like, whether they're going to continue with the program or not. All of that's up to them.
And you were talking about, you mentioned the word criteria to meet your criteria. What are the criteria for entering into your program? And also, is there a process that they have to go through, which is basically the same thing, criteria also? But
absolutely. One of the first things is that I have a flow chart that shows that, and but I'll just describe it. I'm really visual, and I don't know if we were able to share a screen or not, but
yeah, you can share.
I can.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can find it. Let me see. What does it say? Let me see if I. Do you want me to try to do it then?
If you whatever it is that you have, you go to share screen. That little green at the bottom of your, it says share screen. You hit on it, then you highlight on your desktop what it is that you want to share, and then hit the word share in the top right hand corner. So
I'm on my iPad, and it's wait a minute. Share content. Let me see if I can. Oh, I see that. I didn't pull it up yet, though. I would have to look in
Oh,
my thing
yeah.
to find it.
Or we could do it another time because I'm sure we're gonna be having you come
Okay.
back. It's
Okay.
interesting, and it's, I'm really learning a lot about this vision and how it's coming together. What was your question again, Vivian, or can you remember, Dr. Tooley, what it was?
The
I do
criteria
remember.
The
She
criteria.
wants
and the
Okay.
the
process
criteria.
and the
Okay.
process.
I'll give you a short synopsis of it. When a person comes, they're going to be warmly greeted and they're going to be given an application to complete. They'll complete the application and then return the completed application. They will be interviewed at that point. And the first thing they will have to demonstrate is show and tell time. Show me your skill, show us your product, tell us about what your business is. Demonstrate it for us. If you make furniture, because there's a man who is waiting to join us who makes furniture. Well, then he would bring something. When they come for the interview, they must be prepared to show or demonstrate what it is that their product or their service. If they're a barber or something, they need to bring somebody whose hair they cut. And I've already had an imagination for people come unprepared, even though you ask them to be. I'm going to have a card that identifies them as a potential participant in the Lessee program and that they need support to demonstrate their skill. And then it will be their responsibility to go and find someone, if let's say if it's a barber, somebody who will let them cut their hair and bring them back so I can see it, or so that the staff can see it. There was no excuse for not being able to demonstrate your business skill. There's none for that. So once they've done that, then there are other steps. At our location, there will be no cash handled. And so everything is handled electronically. And therefore, the person needs a bank account, a checking account, a savings account, and they need a smart device, whether it's a cell phone or iPad, whatever it is. They need something to be able to complete their transactions. And once they have all those things in place, then they will be enrolled in the program. Any place along the line that they decide they don't want to do this or they don't want to do that, well, then they've said no to the program because those are the requirements, because that's what they will need to be successful in the program. And there are organizations that are willing to help us, to support them, to get what they need. For example, the credit union will open up an account with as little as $5. And so they can have a checking and savings account with that, with the debit card and all that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And before Lessee opens, it's possible that there will be an organization or two that will pick up the cost of their tuition. That would be very helpful for them. I would really appreciate that too, because though we're keeping our tuition very low, it's $35 per class, which is unheard of. But it's sufficient for a person who has very little money. Usually, if you're an entrepreneur, you have something different, something special. You have a different way of looking at the world and a way to it's really problem solving, to solve problems in a way that allows you to move ahead and not give up. And so we're going to be drawing on those skills as we move forward. So once they've completed all the courses, then we're really going to celebrate them. we're going to have a celebrate, I don't know if it'd be like a party, but you probably, just really applaud them, because in the groups that we're servicing, many of them have not been celebrated for things they did well. They haven't had a "you go boy" or something like that for something that they did that was good and healthy. So we're going to celebrate them and their mentors, when we haven't talked about their mentors, but the plan will be for their mentors to be there at the celebration. And as you've probably seen on awards shows where people are getting money, they get a big check that's about 4 feet wide, with their name on it and the amount of the loan and all that kind of thing, or whatever it is, that they'll get that too, to show that not only have they completed the program successfully, but now they have funding to help them actually start their business. And we take the pictures and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, that it's very detailed, and as I say, it seems as if we will have to continue this in another at another time, because you
Okay.
have so much information. And so one of the questions I had written down here was to ask you how you plan to get your clientele, which you have already told us. But are you are you advertising? Are you leaving your information at various either detention centers or the prison, or certain, like at the VA organization? I know you. How are you gonna get because these people don't read the newspaper. They may listen to the radio and hear it on the radio. How are you gonna attract them? What method are you using to attract them to your organization?
Well, we have a website, but the most powerful method I found so far is word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
People
Okay.
talk. And in the area where we're located, there is such a need, that with the sign that was put up on the building prior to construction, um, it already generated a lot of buzz among those people. But of course, we need to go further than that. We are serving the community. We're in the community to serve them. But that's why also I leverage my position on the board of Partners in Reentry. Partners in Reentry is about 200 of us, Coalition of Delaware. And every time I'm at a meeting, and we introduce ourselves and tell what we do, then that leads to another link, another person with whom I can collaborate with
Uh-huh.
to share what I do and how we can work together to serve them. But something I've learned in my journey along with the grant proposal is that I will need to have a presence on Twitter and LinkedIn and all, to use the electronics. I know I'm a little old school, but I'm gonna let somebody else do that, but it's gonna be done.
Absolutely.
I believe in staying in your lane and doing what you do best, and let somebody else do that who loves that, because that would not please me.
Absolutely. Do you have a start date?
Yeah, we have a start month. We plan to start in September.
Okay.
And that's because the building is still being renovated. The contractor told us that he's estimating we will be finished with the construction by the end of August, which is next month. So I'm working, I'm estimating that in September, our doors are opening. And we'll have everything in order, ready to go.
Like a regular school.
Hmm?
Are you gonna have a grand opening?
Oh, yes. And I'm going to have a pre-opening too, a pre-opening before the grand opening, so that the saints of God, we can get in there and do what we got to do. And then have the grand opening with the politicians and all. Did I say
Yeah.
that?
September reminds us of school.
Okay. Yes.
Start of school. And my last question, how long is the training program?
It's 23. There are 23 classes, and we're thinking we can get done in about 8 weeks. Because I intend to teach about 3 classes a week. I'm going to start with a small cohort of about 5 clients to see how that works in real life, because the assignments that I'm giving them all have to do with building their own business. For example, for marketing, they're going to have to create something that markets their business. And it's not just going to be on a sheet of paper, here, this is what we're doing. No, I want to see the real thing you're going to use, because you're really going to use that to help you market your business. Because the goal would be, by the time they're finished with the coursework, other people will be well aware of their business or service.
I can feel that teacher coming out of you, Dr. Tooley, that strict teacher, this is your assignment, better not be late. And here are the points that you need to touch on.
We're looking for excellence, not perfection.
Absolutely.
But excellence. I want to see the best that they can do. And I think that I believe that God fits people for what he's called you to do. He picks and he chooses, and sometimes I think about what the journey that I'm on, and I laugh because it's like, what? But this is his doing. And to God be the glory. Amen. That's what I say.
I think my co-host has a question.
Yeah, I did, but I'm looking at the time, and probably my question might end up with something else. But now, a person who can't afford the $35, you do have grants or, and other means, because, like I said, these people are re-entering society. Some of them don't have the money to pay for training. And, do you have anything like that that could supplement?
We're working on that. Okay. We are working on that. And I'm in collaboration with many organizations. And from what I understand, there's actually lots of funds available for those in reentry and for anything that has to do with job training and or entrepreneurship in this case. So I am very much interested in finding an organization or a philanthropist that would take that, and that would help them much more. I know that there's some organizations that give micro grants where they're just giving money to them to start their business. I would like to be able to do that. But then it would take away the social interest part. If you just give them the money, then where's the incentive to benefit somebody else who cannot pay you back? So those are some things I need to talk about with my board to determine how we want to do this. And so those are some decisions. But at this point, because I am responsible for the financial maintenance of the program and my own business operations with the rentals and all that, I cannot afford to have them come for free because it's not free to me. So when it is, we can grow and change the program as we need to. But it has to be on a solid foundation. at all times.
And besides that, you know that when you put a value in something, people appreciate it more, and they know that it has more different feel for it when there's a cost. So there's nothing wrong with you putting a charge to it, because then they will see that their information they're getting is valuable. Because when you put free on something, people devalue it. You know,
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
so what you're doing is great. You know, it's a
Right.
$35 per class, and they're getting the training they need, and for them to be successful in their accomplishing their dreams and goals. So
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely,
awesome,
absolutely.
awesome.
And just to remind our listeners, we are speaking with Dr. Rosie Tooley, who is the CEO of her new venture coming up, Lessie Lazarus Educational Services Incorporated, and they are getting ready to launch in September, and she will have information available, and we will make sure that we get her. You can email us, and we will get the necessary information to you. If you know of somebody who would like to be a part of this program, or if you yourself have qualified for this program, is to check it out. So before I ask my co-host to close, I'm going to ask Dr. Tooley for one parting sentence that she wants to leave out there for our listeners.
There's always hope. There's always hope.
Great, wonderful. Thank you so much, so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I feel honored, and I really enjoyed both of you so much that this was a pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You definitely welcome, and we're excited to have you on our show. I know we've been trying to get you here for a little bit, but we understand that you're a woman of purpose and you live on purpose, and we know that this will be a great program and will bless many thousands um,
Mhm.
to come. So, once again, everyone, this is Life Chat with Vivianville. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.